Many older adults are doing everything they were told to do for their blood sugar and still feel confused by what keeps happening. They take the medication, they cut obvious sugar, they try to behave, and yet the fasting number still climbs, the after meal number still jumps, and the feeling underneath all of it is deeply frustrating. If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear this very clearly. You may not be failing, and the problem may not begin with food alone. Hello everyone, welcome back to Senior Health with Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Today, we are going to talk about something so basic that many people overlook it completely, even though it can change how the body handles sugar from morning to night. We are going to talk about hydration, but not in the vague way people usually talk about it, not just drink more water, not just stay hydrated. We are going to talk about why hydration can affect blood sugar more than many older adults realize, why this matters even more after 60, and how the timing of water may matter as much as the amount. Because this is where many people get the wrong idea. They think blood sugar rises only because of what they ate. But blood sugar also rises when glucose has more trouble getting into the cells. And one of the reasons cells become less responsive is that the internal environment of the body is not working as well as it should. That includes hydration. Let me show you why this matters through a story. Imagine a man in his early 70s who has been living with type 2 diabetes for years. He takes his medication faithfully. He has not changed his breakfast. He has not suddenly started eating cake every morning, and yet his fasting readings begin climbing. What used to sit in the 120s is now often in the 150s or 160s. His doctor talks about progression. The conversation starts moving toward more medicine. He feels discouraged because he cannot point to one thing he is doing terribly wrong. Then someone asks him a very simple question. How much plain water are you drinking in a day? He pauses. Because when he thinks about it honestly, most of what he drinks is coffee, maybe some juice, maybe tea, maybe a little water here and there, but not much plain water. And almost none of it is taken in a consistent way that supports the body through the whole day. That question sounds too simple, maybe even too simple to matter. But after 60, simple things often matter more, not less. As we age, the body becomes less forgiving. Thirst signals are weaker. Kidney function changes. Medications may pull more water out of the body. Blood vessels become less flexible. Cells become less responsive. And because these changes happen gradually, many older adults do not even realize how often they are mildly dehydrated. That is where the deeper problem begins. Hydration is not only about avoiding a dry mouth. It is not only about not feeling thirsty. It is about whether your cells, blood vessels, kidneys, and hormone systems are working in an environment that allows them to respond properly. If that environment becomes too dry, too concentrated, too stressed, the whole system gets less efficient. Now let us slow this down and make it simple. Blood sugar does not rise only because glucose enters the blood. It also rises when glucose has more trouble leaving the blood and entering the cells. Insulin is part of that process, but insulin works best when the body is functioning in a stable internal environment. When a person is dehydrated, blood becomes more concentrated, stress hormones can rise, circulation may not be as smooth, cell membranes may become less responsive, and all of that can make blood sugar control harder. This is one of the reasons some older adults feel like the same meal gives them a different reading on different days. They are blaming the food, but the body itself may be changing the response. Now, I want to make something very important clear. This is not a replacement for treatment. This is not a cure for diabetes. This is not a reason to stop medication. What this is a missing layer. And when that layer is missing, many people keep pushing harder on food or medicine without noticing that the body is still working in the wrong environment. That is why hydration deserves more respect than it usually gets. Most adults over 65 do not hydrate the same way younger adults do. Not because they do not care, but because the body changes. Thirst becomes less reliable. Some people avoid drinking because they do not want to keep using the bathroom. Some are afraid of incontinence. Some are busy. Some count coffee, juice, or soda as if it were the same as water. And some simply got into the habit of drinking less over time without realizing the cost. This matters because mild dehydration can quietly work against blood sugar control all day long. Let us look at why. When the body is underhydrated, the blood becomes more concentrated. Circulation can become less efficient. Stress hormones such as cortisol may rise more easily. The kidneys work harder. Glucose handling becomes less steady. In practical terms, this can mean a higher fasting reading in the morning, bigger jumps after meals, and more variability from one day to the next. That variability matters. A lot of older adults think only in terms of high or low numbers. But instability is a problem too. A body that swings unpredictably is a body under stress. And one of the quiet drivers of that instability can be poor hydration timing. That brings us to one of the most useful parts of this whole conversation, timing, because this is where many people make a mistake. They think hydration is only about volume. They think if they drink enough by the end of the day, that should be enough. But timing changes the effect. Let me explain. If a person wakes already dehydrated from the overnight fast and then delays water, drinks coffee first, or goes straight into the day half dry, the morning blood sugar reading may reflect that. If a person drinks a large amount of water only late in the evening, the body may pay for that with broken sleep and more nighttime bathroom trips. If a person never drinks before meals and only remembers water when they finally feel thirsty, they are always reacting late rather than supporting the system early. So the question is not only how much water, it is when. A structured hydration rhythm often works better than random drinking. Let us make that practical. The first useful hydration window is the morning. After a night of sleep, the body has gone many hours without water. That means the morning is one of the best times to rehydrate gently and steadily. For many older adults, room temperature or slightly warm water works better than very cold water first thing in the day. Cold water may feel refreshing, but early in the morning it can be less comfortable for some people and may not be the smoothest way to begin hydration. Room temperature water is often easier to tolerate and easier to turn into a steady habit. The second useful window is before meals. Now this is where people often need a clearer explanation. Drinking water before a meal is not magic, but it can support the body in several ways. It can improve circulation to the digestive system. It can reduce the tendency to eat too fast or too much. And for some people, it may help slow the sharpness of the after-meal spike simply by supporting a calmer digestive process. The third useful window is the middle of the day. Many older adults start the day with good intentions and then drift into long, dry stretches. By afternoon, they feel tired, foggy, or oddly hungry. Sometimes that feeling is interpreted as needing food when part of the problem is really hydration. The fourth useful window is early evening rather than late night. That matters because many people drink too little all day and then try to catch up before bed. The result is poor sleep, repeated nighttime urination, and a rough morning. Better blood sugar rarely grows out of broken sleep. So spreading water earlier often works better than front-loading nothing and back-loading everything. Now I want to tell you about 3 of the most common hydration mistakes older adults make without realizing it. The first is counting coffee, juice, or sweet drinks as if they are the same as water. They are not. Coffee has its own effects. Juice can raise blood sugar. Sweet drinks do not solve the problem they often claim to help. Plain water is still the basic tool. The second is drinking only when thirst appears. After 60, thirst is often a late signal. By the time some seniors feel thirsty, their body has already been underhydrated for hours. The third is drinking in large random bursts instead of building a pattern. The body tends to respond better to steadiness than chaos. That is true for blood sugar and often for hydration too. Now let us go deeper into why this matters for insulin sensitivity. A lot of people think of insulin resistance only as something caused by weight gain, sugar, or lack of exercise. Those absolutely matter. But the way cells respond to insulin also depends on the environment around them. When the body is underhydrated, stressed, and circulating thicker blood through less flexible vessels, the whole delivery system is less efficient. So even if the body has insulin, or even if medication is trying to help insulin work better, the response may still be weaker than it should be. This is one reason a person can feel like the medication is not working when the real story is more layered. Again, that does not mean hydration is doing the whole job. But it does mean hydration may be one of the reasons the rest of the plan works better or worse. This is why simple water timing can sometimes produce surprisingly noticeable changes without changing every other part of life all at once. Not because water is a miracle, but because the body finally gets a more stable environment to respond inside. Now let us talk about morning blood sugar, because many older adults get especially frustrated there. They go to bed feeling disciplined. They did not eat dessert, they took their medication, they wake up, check their fasting number, and it is still higher than expected. That can feel unfair. But morning glucose is shaped by more than last night's dinner. It is shaped by the overnight fast, stress hormones, sleep quality, dehydration, medication timing, and the body's own dawn response. So if a person wakes dehydrated, slept poorly, or front-loaded caffeine before water, they may be working against the morning reading before breakfast even begins. That is why a gentle, steady morning hydration habit can be so useful. It does not fix every cause of a high fasting number, but it supports one of the causes people often ignore. Now I want to make this even more practical for the viewer who says, "Fine, but what should I actually do?" Here is the useful structure. Start your day with plain room temperature water. Do not wait until late morning. Use water before meals more consistently. Do not rely on thirst alone. Do not let coffee replace water. Do not try to drink everything at night. Spread your hydration through the day in a repeatable way. That is the framework. Notice what this is not. It is not expensive. It is not extreme. It is not glamorous. But that is often how real physiology works. The body usually responds to repeated basics more than dramatic hacks. Now let me bring in another example. Imagine a woman in her mid-70s whose A1C has climbed over several months. Her doctor is starting to talk about more aggressive medication. She feels discouraged and blames herself. But when someone asks about her fluids, the real pattern appears. She drinks almost no plain water, mostly diet soda, maybe some decaf coffee, almost nothing first thing in the morning, very little before meals, and then a lot in the evening. She is not doing that on purpose. It just became her habit over time. When she changes only one thing at first, a structured hydration rhythm, not a total life overhaul, her numbers begin to feel less chaotic. Morning readings become more stable. She has more mental clarity in the afternoon. Her energy improves, and once she feels the benefit, she becomes more willing to improve the rest of the plan too. That is important, because one of the best things about hydration is that it is often easier to begin than a full food rebuild. And when older adults get one win early, they often gain the confidence to build another. Now let us talk about minerals, because this is another layer the competitor leaned on heavily. I want to keep it grounded and useful. Water movement in the body is not only about water itself. Electrolytes matter too. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium all play roles in fluid balance, nerve function, and how the body handles glucose. That does not mean everyone needs special products. It does mean that very poor diet quality, heavy sweating, certain medicines, or chronic illness may affect this balance. So if someone is drinking plenty but still feels chronically depleted, lightheaded, or oddly dry, it may be worth discussing electrolytes, kidney function, medications, and overall hydration strategy with a clinician. This is especially important for anyone on diuretics, anyone with heart failure, and anyone with significant kidney disease. Those people should not just follow generic hydration advice from the internet. They need personalized guidance. Now let us address another mistake. A lot of people think more is always better. It is not. Flooding the body with huge amounts of water does not automatically create better hydration. Sometimes it just creates more bathroom trips, poorer sleep, and more frustration. The real goal is steadiness. A body that is regularly supported tends to perform better than a body that swings between too little and too much. That is why I do not want older adults walking away from this thinking the answer is simply to drink as much as possible. The answer is to hydrate intelligently. Now let us talk about the emotional side, because blood sugar instability wears people down. Every unexpected high reading feels personal. Every medication increase feels like a judgment. Many older adults start to believe they are losing a battle they are somehow supposed to win through discipline alone. But if hydration is missing, then the battle was being fought on the wrong ground from the start. That matters, because when people realize they were missing a basic support rather than failing some moral test, the shame begins to lift. They start asking better questions. They stop seeing themselves as broken. They start rebuilding trust with their own body. And that is powerful. Now I want to speak directly to the person who says, I already drink a lot of water, so this cannot be me. Maybe, but maybe not. Because timing still matters. Temperature may matter. Nighttime timing matters. Caffeine compensation matters. Medication effects matter. And consistency matters. So even if volume looks reasonable, structure may still be missing. That is why this approach is worth trying in a simple way before dismissing it. Try 2 weeks of structure, morning water first, water before meals, no giant catch-up drinking late at night, track fasting sugar and energy, see what your own body does, not as a cure, not as proof that everything else is wrong, but as a real test, because the body usually tells the truth when the structure is steady enough. Now let us talk about sleep, because hydration and blood sugar are connected there too. If a person drinks too much too late, they wake up more often. More awakenings can mean more fragmented sleep. More fragmented sleep can worsen blood sugar the next day. So some people are trying to hydrate and accidentally making their sleep worse, which then works against the very numbers they wanted to improve. This is why I keep saying rhythm matters. A smarter hydration plan supports both blood sugar and sleep instead of making them fight each other. Now let us bring everything together. Older adults often do not feel thirsty early enough. Their kidneys do not handle fluid the same way as before. Their medications may pull water out. Their blood sugar may become more sensitive to dehydration. Their morning readings may become less predictable. Their sleep may become easier to disturb. All of that means hydration matters more after 60, not less. And yet many treatment conversations still ignore it. That is what makes this topic so useful. It is simple enough to act on right away, but important enough to change the whole environment the body is working in. Now let me give you the real bottom line. The best hydration method for blood sugar is not drink a huge amount randomly. It is plain water, steady timing, good daytime structure, less late-night overload, and enough consistency to let the body recalibrate. That is what older adults can actually use. And here's the good news. This does not demand perfection. You do not need a perfect body. You do not need a perfect diet by tomorrow. You do not need to understand every hormone. You just need a better structure than the one that is quietly working against you now. That is how progress often starts after 60. Not through drama, not through shame, through a better environment. Thank you so much for watching Senior Health with Dr. Sarah Mitchell. If this video helped you understand your health in a clearer and more useful way, please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you do not miss our next videos. This video is for educational purposes only and does not replace medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please speak with your doctor or qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your medication, fluid plan, diet, or treatment routine, especially if you have kidney disease, heart failure, or take water pills. Please take care, stay safe, and may you have better health, more peace, more comfort, and more strength in the days ahead.